What's up, everybody? It's your boy, and I I have been MIA for a while. I haven't posted in, it seems like a month. I haven't posted something. I haven't even looked back, but I got something to show you. So the learning curve on wiring this bad boy is ridiculous, and so this is going to be a pretty helpful video for the few subscribers I have on this channel. Side note, the only things I need for this is to get it, if you just want to subscribe. Just to be completely honest, if this video is viewed, as you probably know, when people have some, subscriptions, they have these big channels with all these people and they get all these views. Well, they're making advertising revenue basically off that. I've seen people post videos and they're asking for donations and all kind of BS. I'm not asking for that, but and you might have seen the link in the description that says, I'm an affiliate with Amazon. I'm not really an affiliate with Amazon. I can't even get a cent from Amazon if you click the link and happen to purchase one of the items that I'm using in this, unless I have 300 subscribers. So if you're like, too bad for you, that's fine. I wasn't going into this to make money. I just wanted to kind of be helpful, because I've literally contacted either via Instagram or YouTube or whatever channel people are on, asking questions on how they're doing what they did to make their own helmets, and I've gotten zero help. Absolutely nothing. Some of these guys are building really cool helmets and they're selling them for $1,600, $2,000, whatever craziness that is. And I think my guess is if these folks, and I'm sure they're nice folks, but I'm thinking they probably don't want to disclose how they're actually making it, because they're fearful somebody's going to want to take the time and effort to make one just as nice as some of theirs are. And some of these things are like really nice. I think one of the guys actually, like the Marshmello DJ guy, he's actually like wears his helmets. Maybe he like makes them for him and that's like his thing. Fantastic, good for you, whatever. That's not what I'm doing. I'm trying to provide value for folks that have any interest, whether they're a Marshmello fan or they want to create one of these helmets. And I'm just trying to provide some value to those folks from a guy just like hopefully very similar to you, more than likely, and you're just like, that'd be really cool. One of the guys posted in a video, he's like, yeah, I'm building a helmet with my dad for Halloween. This is really helpful, and that's cool. It makes me feel good that if I'm able to help provide some value for somebody that wants to kind of create sort of a do-yourself project, that's awesome. Like, that's really all the things I need, But if you care at all about, trying to throw me a bone, subscribe to the channel. You're not going to get a lot of notifications, because once I do all this stuff, I don't know what I'm going to do. If next Halloween I decide to build something different that includes some electronics and stuff like this, and you happen to be subscribed, well, you might get a notification, next year this time. But, and as the remaining videos come along for this particular one, you'll obviously get notified of those. But my goal is if I can get to 300 subscribers, which is pretty weak, again, that's the best thanks you can give me, a thumbs up or whatever. So I'm literally going to show you what I did, and then I'm going to switch over to a screenshot of, not a screenshot, but like I'm going to record my actual computer screen, and I'm going to draw out exactly how I wired this. And it didn't turn out perfect because I literally was about to pull my hair out. I was getting so frustrated. And then it just clicked, and I'm like, oh, maybe if I try this. And then it was like a switch went off, and this thing, and then I started figuring this thing out. So there's a link in the description. There's a link, even though I don't get paid off this, it doesn't matter. But there's a link to, here's what you need. You need 2 of these battery packs, and the link's in the description. You need 2 of, I guess I should have done this more, 2 of these things. There's like a little red light on it. This is a 9 volt to 5 volt, 9 volt to 5 volt converter. because the LEDs on this thing are 5 volt. Now there's like 12 volt options, and maybe there's a way to go. I'm actually gonna take everything I learned from this and build my son a 10-inch tube. This is 12 for like an adult's head. A 10-inch version, and I got about a month. I got about 4 weeks to knock this thing out, because that's gonna be his Halloween costume. So I'm learning what to do and not to do on this thing, and then I'm gonna duplicate it, hopefully make it really fast. For him, you're gonna need 2, if you want it to look exactly like this, you're gonna need 2 of the LED controllers. And I'm just gonna give you a brief description here. One, as you're gonna see here, is gonna be for half the lights, so basically the top half, and then the other LED remote is gonna be for the bottom half. And the link's in the description for that. It's gonna be like an LED radio frequency remote. Because the design I wanted, you can use one remote. You can use, where the heck did I put it? You can use one remote and control both. Gotta be prepared for this. You can do, oh here, it's sitting right in front of me. You can use one remote, and they're in the instructions, which took me a minute to figure out, because they're not very helpful. There's, it tells you how to reset both remotes and use one remote for 2, because I want to have one pattern on the top and one pattern on the bottom. Also, holy mackerel, this cost me so many hours. I could not get, I thought I had a voltage issue. I thought, I'm not an electrician. I don't know what the hell I was doing, but I'd get to so many lights, and then the lights were like flashing, and I was like, oh my God, what the heck's wrong with this thing? In the description of the, you're probably like, show me the damn helmet. Let me just, hold on, because this is like ticking me off so much I couldn't figure it out. In the description on this, what you have to do is you need to, with this particular remote, go to the white color in this, because it uses the most voltage or watts or whatever the hell it is. And that's pulling the max amount of juice, the white color does. In one of the videos, one of the guys, he might be a subscriber, was like, hey man, I can't figure it out, because as you add more lights, as you get towards the end, the white starts to turn yellow. Aha, I figured it out. But the flashing feature that I was like, what is wrong? I thought I wired something wrong. You have to reduce the brightness. And so, because you're gonna have 2 different LEDs, or 2 different remotes, I turned the battery off for one, put it on white, the W, and then if you hold down the speed button, the negative speed button, this button right there, this one on this side says negative speed. I thought it was just speed, and then I looked at the directions, and if you long hold, like hold it for a sec, it will reduce the brightness, and it won't pull as many watts or volts or whatever the hell it is. And then all of a sudden it stops flashing. And so I kind of found it was like, it'd be flashing, and I'd hold it for a second and stop, and I'm like, perfect, that's as bright as I can go, and it not flash. And then I'd turn the battery pack off, switch to the other lights that were on the bottom, did the exact same thing on the white, and then it stopped flashing. And then here is the big thing I found out. In the description, there's a thing called a repeater. It's been, I don't know, 3 weeks since I've been using it. And it's a green, it's tucked up in this thing. The wiring job on this is so botched, it's ridiculous. I got almost a whole entire roll of black duct tape. Kind of tucking all these wires in. The next time I do this is gonna be so much cleaner. And I'll probably show it in another video, but try to knock this out quick. But this repeater, you basically, and I'll try to describe it a little in the second version, the second part of this video, is basically what happens is you take one of your 5 volts. So you take, hold on a sec here. You take, and this is like, could not believe, nobody would tell me this. Like these other guys that build helmets, they gotta be doing something like this. So you have your battery pack, and you see there's 2 cables going into it. One goes into the 5 volt section, which is the USB port. The other one is a 9 volt section. The 9 volt section goes into this drop down, which basically converts this to 5 volt signal. So now you have 2 lines coming out of your battery pack. One's gonna go to your repeater, which is, I guess you can use this one because you're not going to be pumping a lot of watts through this thing. So this one's going to connect to your repeater. This one is going to be basically your extra main power line. And it's called, the terminology is called, you're going to wire it in parallel. You're going to see it in the next video. But basically you have your wire that connects to this. This goes to the repeater. And that sends power into, like, it's basically like a booster. And so you have your cable that goes into the let's call it a booster, this little box. And that box has like 8 different ports. And then you take your LED strand and you take your wires, like for example, let's say you got 3 wires coming off, and this is like your LEDs. This has got a whole bunch of extra ones, but let's say you got 3 wires. All 3 go into the repeater. Well, actually, no, you plug in the repeater and then you plug your remote, the remote section of this. So basically you go from this, and then from this thing, this is gonna go down, I don't wanna mess it up. It's gonna go to your remote, and then your remote is gonna go into the repeater. So you have to cut the plug end off of the remote, cut the thing off, and then you're gonna take the 3 wires, plug them into the repeater, take your 9-volt power supply, and that's going to go in the repeater because that's going to juice up the repeater to send the signal out. Then as let's say you do 3 strands of lights, like 1, 2, 3. You might get 3. I think it's about 3 rows on a 12-inch cylinder, and then all of a sudden you connect the next one, and you're like, there's no signal. I'm like, what in the hell is going on? This was driving me crazy. I was like, what's going on? So then what I did was I have the repeater, and then I went into this. They're all the exact same signal. So I think there's like 8 different ports. There might be 10. No, there's 3 and 3. There's 3 on each side, and there's 2 on the end. And it's like block. And so then I took 1 LED strand. I took my 3 wires, plugged all 3 into one of the 8 different ports. You know, there's like 8 different sections. You'll see when you look it up, when you click the link, it'll take you to Amazon, and it'll show you. You'll be able to see it, and that'll give you a signal. But then what happens is the lights aren't going to be that bright because you need to run extra power to basically the red and black line, the ground, the plus and minus, basically the plus and minus of the LED strand, which is the ground and the power. And so you take your other line coming out of the battery, run it in, and you're gonna connect it to like a barrel plug, and so it's gonna look like this, and then it's gonna look like this. And so guess what? One's for positive, one's for negative. And then you put 2 cables into that, and then those come out, and then that's your extra positive and negative. And you're gonna basically splinter off. Like I have like 6 different, so I have like, it comes out of this thing. So it comes out of this, you got these 2 wires coming out. So now I have that's like your power. Let's say this is your red line, it's coming out of here. And then I might have 6 different LED strands, like 6 groups, let's say groups of 3. Let's say I got 3 strands, 3 strands, 3 strands, 3 strands. Maybe it's 4 or 5, I don't know. But then each strand, I'm gonna run black, and I'm gonna run the red, the plus and minus, and I'm gonna run extra lines to this. And so I'm basically running extra wires all for each strand to this, and this is gonna juice it up and get you that bright color. But then the middle line, which is like your data line in the LED strand, that's gonna be that's getting the signal from like this booster. It's called a repeater, but basically the booster. And then all you do, and I didn't realize this until after the fact. And so when you see this pattern, you're like, oh, it's not consistent. It doesn't look like I want that. And like if you look at some of his helmets, it looks like a wave, and it's kind of like it's like at a diagonal. And so when you're putting the strands in, you basically you turn it on, you get it connected, and then you hold it up in there. And you match it to where when it's the LED signal is going, you find the pattern that you want. Now on these directions, and I'm not going to mess with this right now, But it talks about how you can like program and go like a do-it-yourself type, thing. Maybe you can do that after the fact. Comment below if you've done that and you can adjust the pattern to be custom. All I was doing was like, I'd put it on a signal to where the lines, the LEDs were like going dot, 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 dot. I'd put it in here and then I'm like, okay, I like that pattern. I'd glue gun it with a glue stick. I glue it into place and then my pattern is locked. And so you might see the pattern is kind of off. And that's because it took me a while to figure out that's what was going on. And I was like, I'm not gonna go back and strip these lights and redo it because I'm like, this is just ridiculous. But now when you do it, you take the light, you put it up in there and you just hold it up in there and you see how you like the pattern before you glue it in. And then you basically just like slide the LEDs left or right on the tube and kind of wait until you're like, okay, I like that pattern. And then I kind of taped it in there and then I went back and I glued it all in. And so this is what it looks like. And I don't know, because it's kind of bright out. But this, you can see kind of the waves. But notice how the top and bottom waves are different. And if you're looking at some of, and this is just one color pattern, but if you look at some of the videos that, like in the live perform, if this was darker, it'd be easier to see, but it's so bright, it's probably not coming up very good, but you can kind of get it. And then on the remote, your top button here, which is your mode, and then the green one is your automatic. And so you can cycle through, if you just want to manually cycle through, again, I don't know if you can pick that up, but it kind of gives you this look. Now, another thing I'm gonna do, and I hate to do it, let me show you white. Okay, see how the top one's flashing? So check this out. That's because, watch. Now it's not, because the brightness on that one was, notice how I turned the bottom one off? Now I turn the bottom one on, now my lights are good. Because the brightness got adjusted when I was finishing this up. But look how freaking bright that is. It's still really bright. Now if you can see, I don't know if you can pick this up, but the front of this thing, this is where I screwed up. Notice this looks kind of brownish. Because when I painted it, it just wasn't perfect. And I went back, if you remember the previous videos, I went back and I like sanded it and went back and repainted it. Well, when it's not on, oh yeah, it looks great, okay? But this is gonna be at night and it's gonna be lit up. And so I really don't wanna do this, but I don't wanna look like, crap, which is what it looks like. It looks like it's dirty up front because I just have too many coats on. So I'm gonna mask off all this, like really, really, really good. Mask off with just like painter's tape. And I'm gonna really tuck it in there so I don't mess up the paint. And then I'm hoping to God this thing doesn't vibrate and mess up any of my soldering. I mean, I'm gonna freak out if it does. But I'm literally gonna sand this down and I'm gonna repaint the dang thing. I don't really wanna do that, but this just looks horrible as far as I'm concerned. And if somebody is close to me, even my 12-year-old, he's like, why does that look brown? It looks dirty, Dad. You get it dirty? And I'm like, no, look, it looks great when it's off. He's like, yeah, but when it looks bad like this. So I'm gonna strip this thing down. I don't care about the top. But that's like the last thing I'm gonna do. So so in the next video, I'm gonna show you, so like that, check that out. The next video, I'm taking this and I'm going to fit it on the inside to kind of give me a nice, and I'm gonna try it. I don't know, that's really what I wanna do. But I need to put something on the inside so I can mount, and I'm gonna use double-sided tape, and I'm gonna mount these upside down on the inside, and I'm gonna try to balance it, because these things weigh, I don't know, maybe a pound or two each. And this thing's kind of getting heavy. But I'm gonna put that cardboard sleeve in, and then I have, hasn't arrived yet, I think it arrives today, this rubber, it's like 3mm rubber, like black rubber padding or whatever it is, I'm not sure what it's called. So if you have it on auto, which is what I'll probably do when I'm wearing it, it'll just kind of cycle through all the different patterns. But I'm gonna put this black stuff on the inside line, and so there's absolutely no light hitting me in the face while I'm in there, because that'll just drive me crazy. Also, it will prevent people from looking and seeing my eyeballs inside here. And I'm only gonna leave when I'm getting ready to, like, I'll do that, and then I'll put the helmet on. I'll shave the top off. That's coming in the next video, and I'll kind of figure out, okay, this is the height, because my eyes got to be somewhere right here, because if you're here, I'm not gonna be able to see, but it's gonna be somewhere right in here. I believe my eyes are gonna be. I'll figure out the height of the helmet. I'll show you how I'm gonna mount that, and then also I gotta mount the repeater on the inside. And now, oh, that's another thing. And so you're gonna want to get 2 repeaters, one for the top section. Basically you have 2 light features in here. You have a top section, you have a bottom section, but they're all with one remote. Now, if you don't care, if you don't want to have this feature, like to where you have 2 different patterns, so notice the top and bottom are different colors, if that can even pick up. So like here, this is blue and this is green. And here's another thing where I screwed up. They're not even. They should be 14 and 15. And I was just like getting ticked off, just frustrated as you know what. And so it's not exactly even. So when you do this, my recommendation would be 14 rows on the bottom, which I tried doing. I even mentioned in the previous video, but then when I was doing it, I screwed up I don't know what the hell I did, but I screwed up. But you're gonna wanna do 14 rows on the bottom, 15 rows at the top. It pretty much comes right at 29 rows. Getting the lights between here, oh my gosh, like this was a pain. Holy crap. Also, just some recommendations. I haven't soldered anything since I was like a kid doing like projects for school. So there's a long learning curve on how to properly solder. Oh my gosh. And so what I learned was I took the soldering iron and I took the LEDs and I just tapped the solder to top my roll. And you're gonna have to get more. There's not enough that comes with that soldering kit, so I got this roll. And make sure you have the kind that has the rosin core. You definitely want to get that kind, the rosin, R-O-S-I-N. And so I lay the LED flat and I just kind of tap. And so you want to put some solder on the 3 connections on the LED strip first, and you can't get them to touch. If one end, I mean, trust me, that was a big pain too. If you solder and those 3 dots and the solder joins, like you join them together, you got to strip the solder. And this thing, I use this a lot. And so you get it liquidy, and then you push that down, and right when it's like the solder's liquidy, you hit that and it sucks it off, and you got to start over. And so it's just a massively long learning curve, very frustrating, but it's pretty cool. It turned out pretty good. My kids like it. That's all I really care about. What are some best practices? Oh, and so when you're wiring the wires, and I'll probably describe this a little bit more. You can comment in the questions. So what I did is as I had the LEDs, 2 LEDs longer than the row. So I'd take the LED and I'd fold it, the first one, back on itself at the joint. So if the joint is these 3 copper lines between the 2 LEDs, I would wire here, and then I would literally fold it this way. And so the LED wire is going this way, and then the LED itself is going this way, and then the wires go this way. So it's all nice and flush. And so I came around to the next end, I had the same thing. And so basically, if you think of the LED and the wires like this, and they came and they kind of butted up against each other. And I would take electrical tape, and I'd put it between the 2, because I didn't want I guess that's copper, the 3 dots on this copper to touch the other end, or it would jack the signal all up. And so you had to put like something like electrical tape between the 2, so when you kissed them together, when those 2 LEDs were together, they didn't, the signal couldn't be touching each other. So that was a learning curve. And then I used the black Gorilla Tape or duct tape to hold all the wires on the inside. I don't know if you can see this. It's all jacked up. Look at all those wires. And so I haven't gone through the effort of cleaning all that up. And again, that's just because I know what the hell I was doing. And so that's how it turned out. So I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna tape all the wires with duct tape, and they're nice and tight before I put the cardboard cylinder in. and then that'll kind of like tuck everything, and then it'll be nice and clean, you know, so I'm not worried about it before I put the helmet on and everything else. And also when I did the wires, I made sure like so I'd run the wire around, and then when I got the end, I'd have about, I don't know, 6 inches of the 3 wires coming off, and then you'd kind of fold them around and they would touch the next end, and then they go back around. And so when you're doing yours, because you're gonna have those 2 repeaters, so one repeat, if you want the split look like this, you're just gonna get to the point, and then all of a sudden you're just gonna flip the direction of the LEDs to get, you know, because these are an alternator. Again, I don't know if you could pick it up in the video, but you can see the top is going one way and the bottom is going another. And so basically, I mean, the only thing you need to do there is you just turn over the arrows on the LEDs. There's little arrows as far as the direction, and then you just work that angle. But I can't stress enough making sure you make sure those solders on those wires are good, because I was in there and I'd get like 5 more rows done, and then the wires are all jacked up, and I'd have to go back and trace and find where one of the signals is broken. And then, because they're glued in there, you're taking your, you know, basically I'm taking the glue gun and I'm putting dots, and then I'm pressing the lights against, this is on the inside obviously, but I'm putting the dot of glue down and then squishing this and holding it. And the kind I put in the link in the description, I think it's like Gorilla. It's like this. So this is like a pack of 75. And obviously you can see I got a lot more left. So you might be able to get away with a smaller packet. It's not that expensive, like a 35 pack. But this is like extra strong, like 5 times more durable. And I just didn't want to get in there and it start coming apart, basically. I just want to like get it in, lock it in, and do that. So if you got any questions, comment below. I'd love to just help out. I am not like some of these other guys. Again, I'm nothing personal against them, because they're probably trying to run a business and make money off this. I am not building helmets. This is not going to be for sale. I wouldn't feel good selling it, because I don't know how. I mean, I'm just praying. The wires don't come apart when I see on this thing. You might be like, oh man, that's sweet, if you think it's cool. But hey, I want to buy that. You know, I in good faith. For one, it's not, there's no way I could charge enough to validate how much time I put in this thing, because of the learning curve. I literally have probably put a solid 48 hours. I just haven't slept much, because I got a lot of stuff going on in my life and my family and business and all that stuff. But I didn't even make minimum wage. I don't know where you are in the world when you're watching this. I can tell you right now, I mean, it's crazy, the learning curve on this. There's almost 1,500 LEDs in this. This is all that's left, this little strip of 5 rows of 300. So that's about that's about 25 LEDs. So I have just shy of 1,500 LEDs are in this thing. And so that's why you need the 2 battery packs. I haven't tested yet how long a full charge will go. But I know if I switched it to white, see how it's flashing again? So I got to go back and change. So it's close. Watch. There we go. That's another thing. When you change a setting, that's what I didn't do before. You got to turn it off and then turn it back on. That locks it in. Notice how we just did this in the video and it went back to flashing? That's because I just turned this other one on and I didn't turn it off and turn it back on. And so I want to make sure, now this looks a little darker, the top than the bottom. And so I can kind of manipulate. See, I brought it up a little bit. I'm gonna lock that in. And it's getting closer. But this looks like, you know what, because I need to repaint it. So again, a lot of learning curve. I guess I could have read the instructions and paid attention to that, but I didn't know what the hell was going on. I was just like, why is this doing this? My wife's like, what the heck? This better be worth it. And I do plan on taking this to a Halloween costume contest. And I'm like, man, I just want to win just to cover, just to get some money to cover the cost of time and effort building this thing. But more importantly, my kids are like, the whole time my kids are like, oh, that's awesome. Like I showed them today and they're like, this is awesome. And so that's really what I get out of this. It's kind of cool. And if you're building your own, and post some comments, like, I don't know if you can do that. Can you post comments on YouTube? Maybe not. So just leave a comment. Just say, hey, I built mine, and you can check it out on maybe your channel, or if you got an Instagram or you got a Facebook, whatever. I don't care. Put a link and be like, check mine out. That would be like so awesome to find out that somebody took some of the things that you guys learned from these videos and did something was cool. And even if you don't put like this many lights, you did a little bit different pattern or whatever. To me, I just get a kick out of that stuff. So again, thanks for your patience. Hopefully this helps you out. Again, I'm going to do another video that kind of shows maybe a little bit more easier how this is laid out. And again, hook me up with a subscribe. If you're just like, man, I got to throw this guy a bone, just give me a subscribe. Again, you can look at my subscribers. I think we got like 30 or 40 at the time this is being recorded. If I get up to 300, then I can go back to Amazon and they'll be like, okay, so if somebody clicks the link, then we'll give you like 0.5% of that sale or whatever it is. That'll be, I'm just being totally honest. I'm being totally honest with what's going on. Talk to you soon. Thanks.